Welcome back. All right, yes, I'm wearing Vancouver Canucks. I wore this to the Abbotsford game. I figured that since I've been in an Abbotsford game, I can wear a Canucks jersey. I don't think people are going to care too much. And I want to talk a little bit about the Abbotsford game at the start of this. So I'll go ahead and do a timestamp for that, and then the timestamps for the other games if you guys aren't interested. So tonight, Abbotsford won their first home game all season. They have been devastated by the amount of players who left in free agents in the offseason. Like, for instance, Sammy Blais one, Phil DiGiuseppe's another, and then the amount of players who are currently playing for Vancouver because of injuries to Vancouver Canucks, it's left Abbotsford with a roster. I didn't recognize a lot of the names out there, including the goaltender, who in his first game with Abbotsford got their first home win, so that might get him another start. Finnish goaltender, too, so who knows, The one thing I will say with Abbotsford is this season does give them a chance to find the next Shilovs, or the next player who's going to end up being pretty darn good. But they won in a shootout. I believe it was Ben Berard had the winner in the fourth round of the shootout. So, see, I go to a game, it's a late start, and it goes to a shootout. So, the meme lives on. But it was an entertaining game. The building was a little bit less than half full. Even saying a little bit less than half full is probably overstating how many people were there, but they've had an abysmal record. They've been bad, and there are people in the market who do not understand why they're bad. They're not accepting of it, and so they're not going out and watching them. We still have season tickets. We're still going to go out and support the team because it's what you do. And kudos to them for getting the win tonight. They were outshot badly in that first period. They only had 4 shots. I figured this game isn't going to go well. They were down 2-0 at that point, and then the second goal was early in the second period for the Barracuda, and then they came back and they did get 2 points out of the game. So maybe it's a turning point for Abbotsford. I have seen on their social media them basically saying this is a turning point. It's one win. We'll just take that one win, pocket it, and admit I'm the good luck charm. First home game I've gone to, all Canucked up, and they won. So, you're welcome, Abbotsford. I got them the win. All right, let us go ahead and discuss the Rangers and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Shesterkin versus Vasilevsky. I took notes for what I watched. I watched the first 2 periods of this game, which were just crazy. Early power play for the Rangers, and they score on it. 109, it's Cooley. It's a bounce off the boards. It's in. It's the first shot on net. Fox and Panarin with the assists. So, the Bolts look to respond, but at 3:31, JT Miller with a goal from Zibanejad. It's a cross-ice pass and in on a rush. And at 3:31, it's 2-0 for the Rangers, and they've scored on both of their first 2 shots. Then at 6:04, Tampa scores on their second shot. It's Sabourin. He wires one far corner on a 2-on-1 rush. Douglas and Finley with the assists. So there's not a scoring trio that I've seen together before. But a little over a minute later at 7:08, Lafreniere on a 3-on-2 rush gets a goal. It's cross-ice pass and buried as well. Panarin and Soucy with the assist. So Panarin with a couple of helpers. It's 3-1 in favor of the Rangers. And, that's 3 shots and 3 goals for the Rangers. And also on that play, Hagel got injured. So add injury to insult on that one. Tampa presses to respond. Shots are 5 apiece with 7.5 minutes left, so good on Vasilevsky for saving a couple. Gensel has a rush chance, that's held, and then at 13:59, Gergensons buries one from the doorstep. It's a rebound as well. Bjorkstrand and Gord with the assists. Gonsalves nearly ties it as the Bolts press, and then at 16:29, it's a high slot chance that deflects in. It's Will Borgen's goal, and that was the 5th shot on net, apparently, so they adjusted the shots down or whatever, but either way, Vasilevsky had a tough night. So that makes it 4-2. And then with 3:15 left, the Rangers get a power play. So Tampa scores on it because this game's all over the place. At 17:32, it's a nice deke. He goes 5-hole on the fast break. Gensel with the goal from Mosier. And then Tampa finishes the kill. So after 1 period of play, it's 4-3. And I was thinking, all right, so I'm going to need an 80s magnet. I was right, but I thought there was going to be way more goals in the end than there was. Second period, Sherry is a one-timer this block. The Rangers press at 3 minutes. However, 4.5 minutes in, the shots are 7-1 Tampa. Tampa draws a power play. A net feed to Point gets picked off. Power play's killed off. Tampa presses after it's done. There's more pressure by Tampa with 9 minutes left. The Rangers press with 7 minutes left. Gavrikov is a net feed that's picked off. Shots are 11-2 for Tampa with 4.5 minutes left. Bjorkstrand has a slot chance. That's blocked out. And then at 18:19, Trocheck. Vasilevsky a little bit off balance. Cool. We'll just put it underneath him. Trocheck gets the goal from Panarin and Gavrikov. And so, yeah, Trocheck has been pretty productive in his return. The Rangers press in the closing seconds, and they're up 5-3 after 2 periods. It stays that way until 5:03 of the third period, where Trocheck scores from Vakanainen and Panarin. So there's Panarin again. And then they pull the goaltender because, sure, why not? Cooley hits the empty net at 17:49. Adam Fox with the assist. And so it's a 7-3 win for the Rangers in Tampa, which makes sense because the Rangers are fantastic on the road. 3 stars are Trocheck, Panarin, and Sabourin. Shots on net, 10-8 Tampa in the first, 12-5 Tampa in the second, 14-8 Tampa in the third. They outshoot the Rangers 36-21. Power plays 1 for 3 for the Rangers, 0 for 3 for Tampa. The hits, 26-21 Tampa. Shesterkin, 33 saves on 36 shots, has another good game. Vasilevsky, 8 saves on 13 shots. Johansson comes in the third period and saves 6 out of 7 in relief. So, a tough night for Tampa. These things happen. We'll see if it ends up being a pattern or not. But at this point, it's just a rough night for them. All right, next up. The Oilers and the Flyers. Skinner versus Vladar, early jump for the Flyers, but they're having trouble getting to the net. Juleson fires one wide as the Flyers press. Shots are 2-1 for the Oilers, 5 minutes in. Things get pushed in a hole by Skinner. Dvorak has a rush chance, that's kicked aside. Michkov tries to bank one in. Puck ends up being cleared out. Power play for the Oilers, that's killed off. Shots are 9-5 Edmonton with 4 minutes left. McDavid has a net drive chance that's saved. Roslovic can't bury one, and close puck's cleared out. And then in 19:05, Bouchard opens the scoring with a one-timer from the slot. McDavid and Savoy with the assists. It's 1-0 Edmonton after 1. Second period. Early press by Edmonton. The Flyers were so flat early in that period. Oilers press at 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes in. Shots are 3-0 for Edmonton. 14 straight shots for the Flyers. I know the Flyers have gone like 14 minutes between shots at that point. The Boo Birds were out. The fans were frustrated. And so that's where I left the game. That's where I'm like, all right, I got to go to the Abbotsford game. Eventually, they would tie it, did the Flyers, at 15:38 Michkov on the power play from York and Konechny. So it's 1-1 after 2. In the third period, there's no scoring. The Flyers controlled the play well in that they only limited the Oilers to 5 shots. The Flyers go 0 for 2 on the power play in that period. The Oilers go 0 for 1. So we go to the overtime, and in the overtime, Roslovic ends up scoring from Savoy at 1:19 to make your final score 2-1 in overtime for the Oilers. So the chess magnets on the board. We had an 80s game, we had a chess game, and there you go. Your 3 stars are Roslovic, Vladar, and Michkov. Shots on net, 13-5 Edmonton in the first, 12-6 Edmonton in the second, 9-5 Philly in the third. The shots were 2-1 in the overtime for Edmonton, including the shot that matters. Final shots 32-21 for the Oilers. Power plays, Edmonton 0 for 2, Philadelphia 1 for 3. The hits 21-10 for Philadelphia. Skinner 20 saves on 21 shots. Vladar 30 saves on 32 shots. All right, next up, Buffalo and Utah. So, yeah, I also want to say with Philly, this continues a trend of Philly getting points in games that last year they wouldn't have. Anyways, Ellis versus Vejmelka in the Buffalo-Utah game, and 5:33 in, it is Buffalo opening the scoring. Roseanne, who's been a good call-up for them, scores from Quinn and Byram. So Jack Quinn on the board. Buffalo leads 1-0. That would be your score after 1. Ellis had a pretty good first period. And the second period, pretty good start for Buffalo. 6:42 in, Roseanne gets the second goal of the game. Ostlund with the assist. It's 2-0 Buffalo in Utah. However, at 10:42, Utah gets on the board. It's DeSimone with his first goal of the season. Carconi and Schmidt with the assist. So 2-1, that would remain your score after 2 periods of play. But considering Buffalo's been outshot 23-16 by this point, not too bad for Buffalo on the road. They got the lead. However, 52 seconds into the third period, the lead is gone. Peterka scores from Marino and Sergachev, and then 3:22 into the period is Lawson Krause. He gets a goal from Peterka and McBain. And then at 10:09, Nick Schmaltz, who has cooled off a bit after that really hot streak there, he scores from Clayton Keller. Eventually, Buffalo pulls the goaltender, and at 19:33, Clayton Keller hits the empty net, the assist to Schmaltz and Logan Cooley. So Utah gets down by 2 to Buffalo, but I guess the Sabres remembered their Buffalo, and they allow the next 5. So Utah wins at home. They get themselves back on the right track. Your 3 stars in this one, Peterka, Krause, and DeSimone. Shots on net favored Utah the whole way, 12-8 in the first, 11-8 in the second, 14-3 in the third. Final shots, 37-19 for Utah. Both teams go 0 for 2 on the power play. The hits, 20-16 Buffalo. Ellis saved 32 out of 36. Not bad stats, honestly. Vejmelka saved 17 out of 19. Just wasn't that busy in comparison with his counterpart at the other end of the ice. All right. And 4th game of the night is New Jersey and Chicago. It's another example of how New Jersey's playing well. Chicago is finding ways to get points, very similar to Philly. So it's Markstrom versus Knight, and in the first period, Chicago gets the only goal of the period at 18:35. So late in the period and on the power play, Connor Bedard, stays red hot. He gets the power play marker, Teravainen and Bertuzzi with the assists. So that's the only scoring in the first period. It's 1-0 Chicago. We go to the second, and it would be tied up. Nemitz, who was in for a good game, 19:45. So very late in the second period, Nemitz gets the goal from Hischier and Meyer, ties the game up. There's only 15 seconds left, so that remains your score after 2 periods of play. Third period, 3:05 in, Chicago gets the lead back. It's Sligert from Crevier and Foligno. So Chicago has their lead back at 2-1, but New Jersey is resilient. At 10:13, Mercer scores from Jack Hughes and Griciak. So that's their top line now. It was productive tonight. Griciak very likely to stay on that top line, I would think. But Chicago gets the lead back again. At 13:34, Lafferty gives Chicago their 3rd lead of the game. The assist to Foligno and Crevier. So the same assists as on the second goal for the 3rd goal, but we would see it tied up again. At 16:14, so about 2.5 minutes after the other goal to make it 3-2, Nemitz gets the 2nd goal of the game. Nason and Jack Hughes with the assists. So we go to overtime, and in the overtime at 3:28, it's Nemitz, who must have thought he was a forward tonight. In fact, Sheldon Keefe said that after the game that, he basically played like a forward in this, and other forwards on the team could learn from how he got these goals. Markstrom and Luke Hughes with the assists. New Jersey gets an overtime win on the road against Chicago, 4-3. Big win for New Jersey. I think they needed that. I do. And for Chicago, they still managed to get a point. Your 3 stars are Nemitz, Jack Hughes, and Sam Lafferty. Shots on net, 12-10 Chicago in the first, 14-3 New Jersey in the second, 9-5 New Jersey in the third. And the Devils had all 4 shots in the overtime, including the game winner by Nemitz, who got a hat trick. He is the youngest defenseman to get his first hat trick in the NHL, I do believe, if I read that social media post correctly, that he got his first hat trick at the youngest age for a defenseman. But either way, 37-20 were the shots for the Devils. Power plays 0 for 1 for New Jersey, 1 for 3 for Chicago. The hits 28-19 for Chicago. Markstrom saved 17 out of 20. Spencer Knight, 33 saves on 37 shots. Knight's going to see a lot of pucks this year. All right, let's discuss what this did to the standings. All right, so nothing changes with the top 3 in the Central. They didn't play today. I will admit, I chuckled. Edmonton is now 3rd in the Pacific. They're 8-6-4, 20 points in 18 games. If the playoffs started today, they'd play the Kings. That hasn't happened for a while. Utah's back in the playoffs. They're the number 1 wild card, 10-7, 20 points in 17 games. Chicago's the number 2 wild card still, 8-5-4, 20 points in 17 games for them as well. Dropped Seattle out of the playoffs, 19 points in 16 games. And I'm sorry, it does drop San Jose down out of the playoffs, which is too bad because I'm talking to Ted Ramey tomorrow from San Jose Sharks. And I was kind of hoping that San Jose would still be above the playoff line when we had our discussion, but they're not going to be. But they have a chance to get back above the playoff line. Vegas is now 3 teams back, but they do have games in hand on the teams they're chasing, and they're only 2 points back of a wild card spot. So there's a very good chance that Vegas gets there. I don't for a minute think that Vegas isn't going to make the playoffs. And then nothing else changed with the rest of the West here. The Atlantic, the top 3 stay the same, of course. New Jersey, with their win, they pull within 2 points of league-leading Colorado. 12-4-1 now, 25 points in 17 games. Excellent record for New Jersey. No changes to the other top 3 teams in the Metro. The Rangers are now the number 1 wild card, 9-7-2, 20 points in 18 games. The power rankings cry every night because these teams are moving around so much, so it's just how it works. Philadelphia is still the number 2 wild card, 8-5-3 now with 19 points in 16 games. So the Islanders and Tampa are both on this side of the board. Both of them 8-6-2. The Islanders ahead of Tampa in the official standings. Detroit still here, and then no change in the rest of the East because Buffalo at now 5-7-4, 14 points in 16 games. They're officially falling off the pace. They are now 5 points back of the number 2 wildcard in Philadelphia, and I do think that it might be time for a video on the Buffalo Sabres. I do think it might be time. I'll definitely take a look at that tomorrow, and there are two things when I'm going to do a video strictly on a team-centric video. Is there something surprising in the data? Is there something surprising in what's going on? If there isn't, then the video's probably not going to be very interesting to even me to put together. And is there some kind of turnaround hope that might be there for a team that's not playing well? Is there an upcoming challenge if it's a video on the team that's playing really well? Those are the two things that I take into consideration. And of course, in the background but is this really going to be interesting? I think that the whole way through. There have been times where I'll start up doing a board on a team and then I look at it and go, nah, I don't think there's enough here to make a video. So I do go through that. Anyways, thank you guys so much for all your support as always. It's greatly appreciated. Hit like and subscribe in the event that you may not have done so already. And yeah, I felt kind of good watching Abbotsford win their first home game. That was nice because last night they lost 7-0 against that same San Jose Barracuda team. So seeing them win in a shootout tonight, that was nice. And hopefully it does at least get them some wins. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I don't think the Abbotsford Canucks are going to do a whole lot from here, but at least respectable. Respectable's always nice. And considering all the injuries and the exits, it's basically all that I think Abbotsford fans should be asking for at this point in time. But let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. It's greatly appreciated. I will talk to you again soon.